talking about multiplying and dividing integers. So we're going to start with a very simple problem. Okay, all right. And remember, do not forget, you can see multiplication as an X, as a dot, or whenever you have parentheses. So that always shows multiplication. Please remember, we will typically see multiplication like this, not like that anymore, because that looks like a variable X. So we will probably only see it by the dot. So take a look at this. If I have 3 times 2, I know you guys are like, oh, Mrs. Parkin, come on. But I want you guys to see this. What this means is that we have 3 groups of 2. 3 groups of 2, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 3 groups of 2 would be 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, and 3 groups of 2. So our product, because the product is the answer to a multiplication problem, is 6. Okay? So now I want you to look at this. What if I said that we had 3 groups of -2? So 3 times -2 on a number line would look like this. Sorry, it takes me a second to draw out my fabulous number line. So 3 groups of -2. Here's a -2. That's my first group. My second group of -2, and finally my third group of -2. So my answer, my product of this would be -6, right? Okay, so, and I'm not going to show you an example of the third way because the third way is kind of wackadoo. All right, but I could flip-flop this and do a -3 groups of 2 as well. But I'm just going to cut right to the chase. All right, I'm going to get right to the main reason about this. Here are your rules, because I'm sure, I know you guys learned this last year. Your rules for multiplying integers. When you multiply 2 numbers, multiply or divide, when you multiply 2 numbers with the same sign, your product, which is multiplication, or quotient, which is division, will be positive. So when you multiply 2 numbers that have the same sign, your product or your quotient will always be positive. So 4 times 5, +4 times +5 is a +20. A -4 times a -5, same sign, it will be a +20. So when you multiply 2 numbers with the same sign, your product or quotient will always be positive. Okay, so I could go -20 divided by -5 is a +4. Okay, next, when you multiply or divide 2 numbers with different signs, your product or quotient will be negative. So when you multiply or divide 2 numbers with different signs, your product or quotient will be negative. So 4 times -5. This kind of like goes with what we talked about yesterday. Remember when we have an odd amount of negatives, it's going to be a negative, right? So positive 4 times -5 is a -20. Okay. Or -4 times +5, okay, will be a -20. Or -20 divided by +4 is a -5. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of examples with you guys really, really fast. All right, just because I want to show you guys a couple ways of doing it. So let's go with -12 times +4. So here's how you solve this. First, put your blinders on. Ignore the positives and negatives and just multiply the two numbers. 12 times 4 is 48. Now go back and figure out the sign. It's a negative times a positive. So these are two different signs. So what we learned is when you multiply two different signs, it's always a negative. Now, I do have a little cheat sheet that you can always put up here. Positive times positive is positive. Negative times negative is positive. Okay. Then you could go the vice versa. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times positive is also negative. So that's kind of your cheat sheet right there. That would be a good cheat sheet for you to have. Okay. And then same rules apply for division. Okay. So look at this one right here. What if we said -20 times -8? -20 times -8. So first, what we do is ignore the signs and just multiply the two numbers together. So 20 times 8 is 160. Now go back to the sign. A negative times a negative. Oh, I'm multiplying the same sign, so it's got to be positive. Same sign, positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. Now, I cannot stress this enough to you guys. You would not believe how many people, students, confuse the rules for multiplying and dividing with the rules of adding and subtracting. Okay, I don't care that your larger number's a negative. That doesn't always mean it's going to be a negative. So look, watch. If I had -7 times +4, oops, my bad, hold on. Okay, 7 times -4. All right, 7 times 4 is 28, and a positive times a negative, it's a negative. But you would not believe how many people say, but Mrs. Parkin, your larger number is positive, so that must mean it's positive. No. That would be great if I was adding, but I'm not adding, people. Oh no, I'm multiplying. Okay, same rules apply for division. So if I had -36 divided by a +3. So in order to solve this, we'd go 36 divided by 3, which is 12. Now go back to the sign. A negative divided by a positive. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. Different sign is a negative. Okay, now, here's another way to remember this. I'm going to show you a couple ways. This first way I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's mean. It is so mean. It's mean. It's mean. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. If you think, I'm going to throw 3 examples. 4 times 5 equals 20, right? Okay. Here it is. Here's my first way of remembering how to do this. When something good, positive, happens to somebody good, positive, it's a good thing, positive, right? When something really good happens to the really good person, everybody, it's a positive thing. Everybody's happy, yay. When something bad, negative, happens to somebody good, positive, it's a bad thing, right? So like if Mrs. Parkin, because I'm a good person, right? You better be saying yes right now. When she gets a flat tire, it's a bad thing. Okay. Here's the mean one. I don't like this one, but it will help you remember. A little karma is happening. When something bad happens to somebody bad, it's a good thing. Okay. All right. So told you, I don't like this one. This one is not a very nice thing to say at all because we never wish bad upon anybody. However, it's a way to remember the rules of multiplying and dividing integers. Here's another one. Now, you guys are too young. You guys are too young to do this, but if you guys have ever been, oh, yikes. Okay. All right. If you guys have ever seen, and some of you guys might play this on your phones, maybe there's like a slot machine thing, right? Okay. So slot machines. What happens is this. My slot machine is broken, by the way, so I can't play it. I can't play it. But anyway, here's the scoop. If I go and it stops right here, these are two different shapes, right? So do you win or do you lose? If they land on two different things, you lose. Oh, so you're sad, right? Okay, so when you multiply two different signs, you lose. Okay, but if you pull this down, and it lands on two of the same thing, you win, right? So that goes with this. Okay, so here's your slot machine right here. You pull the little lever and it goes bing, bing. Are they the same sign? Yes. So winner, winner, chicken dinner. Okay, here we go. Ready? Here goes another one. Here's my slot machine. I pull the lever down. It lands on this. It lands on that. Uh-oh. Are they the same sign? No. So you lose. That's a negative. Okay, here we go. Ready? We pull down the trigger. Bing. Bing. All right. Oh, yay. Are they the same sign? Yes. So you're a winner. Yay. Okay, all right. And last one. Ready? Bing. Bing. Uh-oh. Are they the same sign? No. You lose. Okay. Now, life would be fantastic if all we had to worry about is two integers being multiplied together. However, that's not reality. Sometimes you're going to come across problems that might look like this. -3 times 4 times -5, and we'll call it good. Okay. Now, without even solving this, I do not want you to solve this. My question to you is this. What's your sign? Okay, so without answering any of this, is your product going to be positive or negative? All right, so unfortunately, we are about 50-50 with this. All right, well, one way that you could do it is we could just solve it, right? So if we went to solve it, when you start, we would start here, okay? So -3 times 4. A negative times a positive is a negative. 3 times 4 is 12. So this would turn out to be -12. Then we'd multiply it by -5. Well, 12 times 5 is 60. Ah, look it. Same sign is a positive. So your answer is positive 60. Okay, well, you guys, because we were only like 50% correct on that, you guys have to hear my song, my little thing. Okay. All right, hold on. Let me get I draw this out for you guys. All right, so guess what? Congratulations, you guys are going to a potty. Okay. All right, so you just got invited to a party. So right now we have the two people in the room that organized the party, right? So if you think about this, they're pretty positive about the party, aren't they? Right? Because they organized it. They like the music, they like the food. So now, guess what? Everybody's happy because the party's happening. Both people love what's happening in it. Well, negative Nellie comes. Here's negative Nellie. So negative Nellie comes and she comes in and she's like, oh my goodness, did you guys try the chips? They're so stale. Well, what does that do? Hey, when that negative Nellie joins the group, okay, and she starts complaining, everybody gets negative, right? So what we know is when we have one negative, it turns the whole party pretty negative, right? So when you have an odd number of negatives, it's going to give you a negative. Now, here we go. Ready? So here comes Silly Sally. Silly Sally loves parties. She's super excited to join the party, but she runs into negative Nellie right away. Okay, and so all of a sudden, her positiveness just went down the drain. So again, look it up here. I still have only one negative, but that one negative makes this whole party just a big bummer. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to put positive Penelope over here. Okay. So now guess what? Neil, the negative, joins us. Okay. He doesn't like parties very much either. So he comes in and he's like, who chose this music? Oh my gosh, it's terrible. So here's what happens. The two negatives get together and they start complaining with each other, leaving all of our positives to start enjoying the party again. All right, so here's what you need to know. When you have an odd amount of negatives, your product or quotient will always be negative. When you have an even amount of negatives, they'll kind of join together like atoms do, and everything will turn positive again. So if you look at this problem right here, if you look at this, okay, you don't even have to do this math down here at all. You look at it and you say, oh, there's one, two negatives. So that's an even amount of negatives. So basically they kind of like cancel each other out to make it a positive. So if I had this problem, if I had negative 20 times negative 7 times 4 times negative 3, I don't want the product. No, I want to know what's the sign. What's the sign? So would this product be positive or negative? So like I just said, when you have an odd means 1, 3, 5, 7, those are odd numbers. When you have an odd number of negatives, your product or quotient will be negative. When you have an even number of negatives, they basically kind of jump together like atoms and they cancel each other out, so you get a positive result. So let's count our negatives here. We have 1 negative, 2 negatives, 3 negatives. So 3 negatives, 3 is odd. So that means your product will be negative. Okay. So an odd amount of negatives will give you a negative, an even amount of negatives will give you a positive, which goes back to what we just learned. Negative 2, oops, let's try division. Negative 10 divided by negative 2. A negative divided by negative is a positive. Same sign. There's 2 negatives, so that's even. So my answer is a positive 5. Okay, if I had negative 4 times positive 3, I have only 1 negative, so my answer would be negative 12. Okay, so that's another way of looking at your rules for multiplying and dividing integers.